Jesus was a necromancer. Welcome back to another episode, y'all. It's Priest Sakai, aka Deacon Genesis.
Genesis!
The little ones here to feed the little ones, capital G. What's going on, y'all? We back at it. We got another one, y'all. Was Jesus a necromancer? Did he commit necromancy, which is a sin, abomination, and against the laws of the Most High God? I heard this argument before. Some years ago. We never did a video on it, so I thought now would be the time, as we're doing this 100 videos in a week. All praise to the Most High. Was Jesus a necromancer? So we have a video right here. It says, fact, Jesus, aka Yahweh Shai, is an abomination to the Most High. Jesus being the Greek transliterated name of the true ancient Paleo Hebrew name Yahweh Shai. It's this individual on this video saying, yes, Jesus did in fact commit necromancy because he's alleging that Jesus called and summoned spirits, and that is allegedly, this is what he's saying, necromancy. So let's take a look, y'all, and let's see, did Jesus commit necromancy?
Deuteronomy chapter 18, I'm reading verses 10 to 12. That's Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 10 to 12. And I will be reading from the Brenton Septuagint translation. It reads thus: There shall not be found in thee one who purges his son or his daughter with fire, one who uses divination, who deals with omens and augury, a sorcerer employing incantation, one who has in him a divining spirit, an observer of signs, questioning the dead.
The way he's reading that, so he's correct. Necromancy is an abomination. It's against the law. But I want you guys to see this translation, because in the KJV it says necromancy. But even this translation says, I want you guys to keep in mind, a sorcerer employing incantation. And we're going to go to the Hebrew. That's why the Hebrew is so important. One who has in him a divining spirit, an observer of signs, questioning the dead. Why do you question the dead? You invoke the dead so that you can get answers, you can get knowledge, and he's going to end up cutting himself. So let's see, let's keep going. Did Jesus Christ do this? Did Yahweh Shai do this?
This is our focus today. There shall not be found in thee one who questions the dead. Questioning the dead means communicating with the dead. Verse 12. For everyone that does these things is an abomination to the Most High. For because of these abominations, the Most High will destroy them from before thy face. In the next few minutes, I will prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that the fictional Jesus character of the so-called New Testament communicated with the dead. It will then...
You guys are going to want to know this. You're going to want to, especially if you're a Hebrew apologist, you need to know how to combat and rebut these fallacious claims here. All right? So let's keep going.
Then become clear that even if Jesus really existed, he was an abomination to the Most High. In the Encyclopedia Britannica, under the heading Necromancy, quote 1 says this: Necromancy, communication with the dead. That's what necromancy is.
Now he's really downplaying and undermining the definition here of necromancy. It's not just like, oh, you know, grandma, I really do, like your dad dies, your mom dies, your grandma dies, your uncle dies, your brother dies, and you're like, man, I really miss you, man. That's not an abomination. It's communication with the dead, and we're gonna get what the Hebrew actually says. We're just, even if we just deal with the English, it's not just as simple as, hey, talking to the dead. Usually in order to obtain insight into the future or to accomplish some otherwise impossible task. Necromancy ain't just like, man, I miss you, big dog. I hope you're up there looking down on me. That is not an abomination. Necromancy is a ritual, a magic ritual of summoning of the dead to inquire secret future knowledge. And we're going to show you that in the Hebrew. That's why it's very important to know Hebrew and to go into the lexicon. That's what the Heavenly Father is prohibiting. So we need to see if Jesus, the Messiah, the Christ, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, did he do that? Let's keep going.
It is communication with the dead. So when I demonstrate that Jesus communicated with the dead, that will be evidence that he was a necromancer, and that makes him an abomination to the Most High. Again, necromancy, communication with the dead, usually in order to obtain insight into the future or to accomplish some otherwise impossible task. So usually it's for these reasons, but it doesn't have to be for these reasons. Any kind of communication with the dead is forbidden by the Most High. It is necromancy. Quote number 2 says, its practitioners, meaning necromancers, were skilled magicians who used a consecrated circle in some deserted spot, often a graveyard, to protect themselves from the anger of the spirits of the dead.
Okay, so let's go to the online etymology, right? And you guys can see, because he used Encyclopedia Britannica. So he's picking and choosing his... So an online etymology is dealing with necromancer. It says sorcerer, adept in black magic, right? Now, look at this. It says see necromancy. That's where you're going to get a fuller definition. It says sorcery, witchcraft, black magic, properly divination by communication with the dead. So you're divining, you're trying to get some divine intervention by communication with the dead. We need to see if the Messiah did that. So there's also divination from an exhumed corpse. So you're standing over a dead corpse and you're trying to divine them to get some type of divine intervention or divine knowledge from them. Let's see if the Messiah did that. That is what's prohibited. Now, I also want to go into the Hebrew real quick. Deuteronomy 18. This is going to show you what's prohibited by the Heavenly Father in the law of Moses. So it says, Deuteronomy 18:11, or a charmer or consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard or a necromancer. Now watch this, everybody. This is why it's so important to know your Hebrew. So you have charmer. Charmer here, it just means joined with. From habar, it just means joined with, right? You see that? So it's saying don't be joined with. What else? This says association, company. Do not be joined or keep company. Then it says in consulter. Look at this, y'all. To inquire, to ask. Now we're getting context. You're inquiring. What are you inquiring? Look at this. Familiar spirits. This is a cut. Is this easy? This is like slicing wedding cake. So you're one who evokes the dead. Familiar spirits. So you're inquiring familiar spirits, right? Look at the word for wizard. And a knower of familiar spirits, a soothsayer, necromancer, to conjure for a purpose. What purpose is that? resort to seek with care, inquire. You see that? It's redundant in what the passage is saying. Towards, now watch this, the word for necromancer, it just means to die. To die. To die. And look how it's used. Surely die, surely die. So really the problem may lie in the English translation, because when you look at the Hebrew, it's saying, don't inquire or seek or divine or summon or conjure familiar spirits from the dead for the purpose of divination, meaning getting information, future prophecies, and all that. That is prohibited. According to the Hebrew, that's what it's saying. So now, and even the Brenton Septuagint version that he used, Benton rather, it said questioning the dead. So that is a proper translation. Why? To get that information and future knowledge. We have to see if the Messiah did that. Then he would be guilty of that. So maybe he'll show us. Let's go.
As we examine the evidence that Jesus practiced necromancy, please keep the following criteria in mind. 1. Communication with the dead. 2. Performed by a skilled magician. And 3. In a desolate spot. So a skilled magician goes to a desolate or deserted or far away place where other people are not, and he communicates with the dead. That communication is necromancy. Now let's go to the historical fiction called the New Testament, and I'll be reading from Mark chapter 9, verses 2 and 4. Mark chapter 9, verses 2 and 4 in the King James Version of the Christian Bible says this: And after 6 days, Jesus taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into an high mountain, apart by themselves. Apart means away from everyone else, far away, to a desolate spot. He took them apart in a high mountain by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. So we've already seen the desolate spot where he took the disciples to a high mountain apart by themselves. Now let's see the skilled magician. We just read that he was transfigured before them. What does that mean? On www.etymonline.com, which is an online etymology dictionary, this is what it says under the word transfigure: be metamorphosed by magic.
Notice he didn't go to the Hebrew or Greek one time. Let's get the Greek word for transfiguration, and it just means transfigure, transform, change. To change into another form. Here's the Strong's definition: transform. To change, transfigure, transform, metamorphose. When a tadpole metamorphs into a frog, is that magic? Secret satanic divination? No, we look at the lexicon. There's no magic involved. So this is why you have to deal with the ancient texts in which these scriptures were written in, more so than the language they were translated to. All right, weak argument. Let's keep going. We still need to see if the Messiah conjured up Elijah and Moses. Did he do a ritual? Did he summon them? Did he inquire future knowledge and information from them? Or did they just appear and talked with them? That's the difference. Let's keep going.
Be metamorphosed, that means changed, by magic. Skilled magicians can change their appearance by magic. This is what is meant by he was transfigured before them. He used magic to change his appearance before them. Anyone who knows anything about the fictional Jesus character knows that he liked to show off his magic skills, such as walking on water. The average magician cannot walk on water. This particular trick requires...
Okay, now, but let's go into... So look at the transfiguration. Matthew 17. He was transfigured, his face shone. Then there appeared to him. It doesn't say he conjured them. He summoned them. He did a ritual. He lit candles. He threw some orange sand in the air. And then it says that they were talking with him. It doesn't say they gave him future knowledge. He asked him information. He asked him for some secret wisdom. All of that is him superimposing the necromancy into this pericope right here. Not going to work. Now, good thing we have in the Bible an example of necromancy in context with Saul and the witch of Endor. In 1 Samuel chapter 28, verse 3, we're going to show you what necromancy really is according to the Bible. We looked at the Hebrew. We looked at the etymology of the word. But let's get a descriptive example. It says, now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had mourned for him and buried him in his own town, and Saul kicked out all the witches and spiritists from the land. The Philistines assembled and came and set up at Shunem, while Saul gathered all Israel and set up camp at Gilboa. When Saul saw the Philistine army, he was afraid, terrified in his heart. He inquired of the Lord. But the Lord did not answer him by dreams or Urim or prophets. So we don't have this here in Matthew 17, that Yahushua the Messiah, he's not hearing from the Father, so he inquires of Moses and Elijah. Matter of fact, the Father speaks right here in verse 5. This is my beloved Son, whom I am well pleased. So he's present right here. Let's keep going. So Saul's inquiring of the Lord. No prophets or dreams answer him. Saul then said to his attendants, find me a woman who's a witch, that I may inquire of her. This is necromancy. Saul's guilty of it. The witch is guilty of it. There is one in Endor. So Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and at night 2 men and a woman, consult a spirit for me, he said, and bring up for me the one I name. But the woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off the mediums and spiritists of the land. Why do you set a trap to put me to death? So Saul swore by the Most High that she wouldn't get punished. Then the woman said, who shall I bring up? He said, Samuel. Then she ended up bringing him up, and he seen Samuel, and then Samuel gave him a message. That's necromancy. That is not Matthew chapter 17. So Yahushua is the king. Yahushua is the king, the Davidic Messiah who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Christ! We on to the next. Shalom.